Let's talk more about this with Donald Trump surrogate and behavioral and psychology expert, Gina Loudon. Good to see you again. So this Washington Post ABC News poll out today asked likely voters, what effect did that leaked tape of Trump bragging about grabbing women have on the race? 63% of them said none. We don't have any polling yet about how these accusations will affect polling, but Trump has been tweeting about it all morning. How much is Trump, in your view, to blame for keeping this issue alive?
Well, I think that if you feel like something that didn't happen that you've been falsely accused of is getting as much media coverage as this is getting covered, I think the statistics this week were something like 1/3 of every hour by most media organizations are covering this, compared to about 1 minute per hour.
But he continues to comment about it, whether it be at
Hillary's,
a rally or then he's
scandals.
tweeting. Why wouldn't he just, in your view, just make the statement and then move on, so that he doesn't help keep it alive? I mean, do you not believe he's keeping it alive by continuing to talk about it at the rallies and even tweeting about it?
I'm definitely hearing him talk more about the scandals surrounding Hillary, the things that came out in those emails from her own campaign, and the falsehoods that we found in there. You know, this
you don't
is the
hear him
thing.
when he said,
we
like yesterday in
because
Portsmouth,
of those,
New Hampshire, he said they're phony accusations? That was yesterday.
I mean, he gives 2-hour speeches, and we pull out 5 minutes of those, and we watch them in sound bites on the news. So I think that's part of this. But I mean, this is the playbook, and he knows this because we've all read the emails from the Clinton campaign now. This is the playbook. They said to win this election, we must try to paint Mr. Trump as a sexual predator. So this is their own playbook. This isn't Mr. Trump coming up with these ideas. This is their playbook, and he has to respond and defend himself.
Okay, I haven't heard anything about the playbook, but if you say so. So, you know, Trump and his surrogates like Rudy Giuliani are trying to change the subject, saying even louder that the voting system is rigged. Is this a signal, in your view, that Trump believes that he is losing and he needs to establish an excuse?
Not at all. He was up in the Rasmussen polling. The LA Daily tracking poll has him up even more than he was yesterday. So I think it depends on what polls we look at. That can be really confusing. But we have to look. There really is voter fraud. And I know that Mr. Trump doesn't say a lot about this, but I know, for example, in East St. Louis, that more people vote than there are citizens in East St. Louis. I know that at my own poll here in California, the last time I went, I put my ballot in a cardboard box in someone's garage, and I asked what they were doing with the ballots at the end of the day, and none of the so-called election officials could even answer my question. And so when you see things like that, Fredricka, you do get suspicious as a voter to what degree your vote counts if your box of ballots are being taken someplace else. So I think being conscientious about that and keeping an eye on it is the responsible thing.
Would he and you and other surrogates be saying the same thing if the recent polling were flip side, showing that he was up as opposed to Clinton being ahead?
Of course. I think every responsible politician is going to have poll watchers these days. And I also think you have to consider, I think part of when he uses the word rigged, I think part of what he's referring to is that, you know, Hillary Clinton, according to those emails, the Podesta emails, she has colluded with the State Department. She's colluded with the FBI. She's colluded with the Department of Justice. I just don't think we put anything past a campaign that is willing to take such a totalitarian approach to winning a campaign. And I think it makes the great majority of us who are trying to look at this campaign of facts, when we see these things coming from Hillary Clinton's own campaign people in these emails, it makes us very suspicious of what kind of unhinged leader she would be if she were to be elected president.
So you are a behavioral and psychology expert, and I wonder, how would you analyze Donald Trump in terms of his jargon that he's using right now, his demeanor, whether it be at the rallies or even his tweeting these messages, whether it's about attacking his accusers or whether he's talking about the rigged system? What would be your analysis?
You know, the thing about Mr. Trump that I recognized from the very beginning is that he's very real. He's not your perfectly packaged, polished politician. And I think that his supporters out there, that's how they take him, as a very real person with a flawed character, just like many of us, who has said and done things that maybe weren't the best at certain times. But I think that he's apologized for the things that have impacted people. And he's out there trying to win an election because he really doesn't want someone like Hillary Clinton in the White House, and there's a growing number of people that I believe see the danger in that as well, especially after we've seen
your psychological analysis or behavioral analysis would tell you what? How would you?
Pretty genuine.
Analyze.
Pretty straightforward, sometimes too straightforward, honestly. You know, I think if you're going to run for political office, sometimes maybe you do need to hold back a little bit. And Mr. Trump isn't known for that. But I think that's also the counterbalance as to why some people appreciate and believe him. And they know that Hillary Clinton is somebody, even many of her supporters, I think up to 70% of her supporters admit that they believe she's a deceptive person.
Okay.
And, you know, it depends on what matters, I guess, the most to you, what you want in the White House. But I think that a lot of people will come down on the side of perhaps raw honesty over somebody who's deceptive and making deals with government agencies.
Gina Loudon, we'll leave it right there. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, still.